Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for being here. I want to thank my colleague Martin for working with me on this particular topic. We'll talk about it, but I know we have a number of advocates here in the room today. Please feel free to chat with them for a few minutes and talk to them about their concerns, their issues, and why we're all taking similar stands here on this particular topic. I want to begin by just telling a quick story of a woman back where I live. It's a small valley called Smith Valley.
I know something about that.
She does. Someone who did spend some time in Nevada growing up. But needless to say, Sue is her name, and she works in this place, this small convenience store called the Buckboard. That's what you get out in the state of Nevada. You get the Buckboard store. And Sue pulled me aside a month or so ago and talked about her premiums and her concern about her premiums. She's on Social Security. Now, I assure you that I didn't ask Sue how old she was, but I can tell she's in her early 60s because she doesn't quite qualify for Medicare at this point. But needless to say, she was talking about her premiums, the issues with her premiums, and her concern was that she has about $900 a month in Social Security, and her premiums were about $400. But unfortunately, with the new year, her premiums were going to jump to $650, $700, and she was going to ask me, how do I do that? How do I take care of that? And she says, I'm still a couple of years away from Medicare. And she says, I work here at this store. Now, anybody in here can talk to Sue at the Buckboard store out there in Smith Valley, and she'd be happy to tell you this story. But we're not here today to really talk about the plus and minuses of the Affordable Care Act itself. We want to specifically talk about a particular tax. And Martin and I have worked on this together for a couple of years now. I appreciate his partnership on this. I appreciate also the House, Kelly and Courtney, those congressmen, for the introduction on their side. And again, it's Republicans and Democrats, it's bicameral, and we're trying to send the right message to the right people in leadership that we have a 40% excise tax out there that's quite onerous for those who have health care at this point and are getting their health care perhaps through an employer. And that their concern is that come 2020, now we were very successful last year working.
2 years.
It's been 2 years already?
No.
That in 2 years, last year to postpone this Cadillac tax till 2020. It was supposed to go into effect in 18. Question is okay, you postponed it to 2020, why are we working on it now? And the answer to that question is talking to these employers is that they really do want to spend some time to get their insurance policies put together, and they need some long-term forecast so that they know 2 to 3 years out what their policies are going to look like. So Senator Heinrich and myself want to really push the envelope on this particular issue. Last week we introduced the legislation, as they did in the House, put our marker down so that as we go through legislation over the next year, 6 months, that we will be in the right spot to either add it as an amendment or even as a standalone, which I doubt that will be the case, at least on our side, that a standalone bill like that could happen. But we certainly do believe that we have the support. I've been in my conference talking to my colleagues, talking about the fact that every one of them have already voted to postpone it, and that I would anticipate that if this was an amendment again, that we'd get the same results, and that result was 90-10. So this affects a lot of Nevadans, and of course it affects a lot of Americans and affects a lot of New Mexicans. And we anticipate that 1.3 million Nevadans will be affected by this. We're talking seniors, we're talking culinary, we're talking the unions, we're talking public employees, a number of people, 1.3 million Nevadans that would be affected by this excise tax. So we're going to try to rein it in. We want to slow it down. We want to stop it. We're going to add it as an amendment. And I think we're going to have a couple of royal battles here in the next few months as we move forward on this particular topic. But I couldn't do it without Martin. Without Martin working with me and helping me, making this a bipartisan issue. Again, the number was 90-10 last year when it came to postponement. I think we can do have a similar result in the near future as we work together. So without covering all the topics, I'd like Martin to say a few words. And Martin, the mic is yours.
Thanks, Dean.
You bet.
I want to start by thanking Senator Dean Heller for all his work to make this possible. My journey on this started back in, 2009. sitting on the House floor with Joe Courtney. One of the things I've thought from the very beginning was these were the kind of healthcare plans that we actually wanted people in, because they gave people the kind of healthcare that they oftentimes negotiated very hard for, but that gave them real value to them and their families. And I will give those who put this tax in place, I will give them credit for one thing. They did a heck of a job of marketing by coining the moniker Cadillac Tax. These are not gold-plated plans. And that, in my state, the hundreds of thousands of people in a state of just 2 million that would be impacted by this are working for small counties and rural areas. They're working for rural electric co-ops. They're working for insurance companies. They're getting by, but they're not driving Cadillacs. They're driving Ford 150s if they're lucky. And so I think it's very important that we do this, that we make it permanent. I want to thank everybody in the Fight the 40 coalition. It is the broadest coalition I think I have ever worked with. And that I think, once again, speaks to the fact that I think we will be successful at the end of the day. And I want to thank our House colleagues for joining us on the other side. I'm very optimistic that we're going to make this happen.